Okay, I posted a video earlier today about kind of my comments on the division being too easy and how it kind of now after the week 4 update feels a lot better, a lot harder to where you have to be a lot more careful, and I didn't have the patch notes or the state of the game notes from Thursday with on in front of me at that time to go over some of the changes and how they are changing for week 4, but I wanted to also post the video about that to give more of a discussionary backing to what that I was actually feeling what was correct. And that was just how I personally felt about the game, about my enjoyment of playing it, and how everything was working and it felt right. So, on that, for their difficulty, they recently made a change to the underground challenge mode that will now scale to group size. So, in terms of enemy health, but not the actual quantity, which means playing solo you will face more enemies as if you were playing in a group, but they'll be scaled to that solo player in difficulty to where you can do it, but it will be challenging, as the name suggests. So, and apparently you should get, if you do it with a group, more loot. More loot is a good thing. I like loot. It helps, especially when you want to do specific things with builds, and makes everything a lot more challenging. They fixed a bug that was reducing an extra 15%, leading to a total 30% reduction in enemy damage instead of the 15% that was announced. So now their damage is correctively only reduced by 15% compared to PTS 2. And it was ended up being reduced greatly more for PTS week 3, which made everybody create that discussion of that is the division for week 3 too easy. Well, in fact, it was too easy. They made it way too easy, and it has been rectified, and it feels a lot better now. They also made a change to health on kill. Nomad was reduced from 20% for the 2-piece bonus to 15%, and reduced health on kill rolls on all other items by half to make it to where you don't kill something, get half your life back in one shot, and pretty much are unkillable. Which is a very good thing. I like that change. I don't think health on kill should be a big focused on stat. There are plenty of other stats that are worth focusing on than health on kill. And then, like with I think possibly that the 3-piece Nomad might need to be taken a look at, in all honesty. Having that constant regen if you're not taking damage kinda seems a little bit overpowered. I don't really want to say overpowered, but a little bit out of the scale in keeping everything balanced. Because all you'd have to do is kind of break your engagement, and then you keep healing without actually having to heal. Kind of seems a little bit more like you don't want to, where everything just kind of, it's the only set that does that. So yeah, it's kind of a specialized ability, but it already has its 4-piece specialized ability that basically does what Recovery Link does every 4 minutes with the proc of Nomad's Path to revive you from critical damage. And having this constant heal, I could see that do a lot of other things with it. But that's where it is right now. And right now, it does seem to work. So overall, I think it's going to be a viable set. It feels like a much more viable set than it used to. They did some changes for week 4 to the ballistic shield, which is supposed to work properly now, and so I'm going to have to put together some kind of a tank build and try out the ballistic shield and just see how it works, if it's an option, what it's going to do, and is it going to be usable in any shape or form. Also, the other thing I didn't touch on my earlier video is this weekend they're basically doing a double XP weekend for the PTS, to where you get faster experience for rewards such for like the Dark Zone, the field proficiency crates, and other things that's experience based. I haven't tried it much yet, but it seems like something that might actually make it into 1.4. Get bonus experiences for special events, or say like over Christmas. And more incentive for people to get on and play. And giving people any kind of incentive isn't a bad thing. I don't think. Anything you can say, hey, you can get bonus stuff if you play now, it's going to work wonders for getting people to play. At least that's how I feel about it. I've always enjoyed the bonus XP weekends in other games I have played, which tends to lead to good things, because you end up getting stuff that you may not have necessarily got before, and can add that to wherever you're going to add it to help a build, to grow a build, to perfect a build. And they did work a little bit more on loot drops. So anything that's a non-named has a chance of dropping high ends, but there's still that percentage. There's still going to be an RNG involved in the whole loot process, which also kind of is nice. It plays into, so when you do get the nice drops, you actually feel like you accomplish something, that it's a thrilling feeling, and it's just going to make everything better in the long run, and to go along with the challenge, to go along with the difficulty. And they've added in weighing drops, so doing for the incursions. I think that was in for week 3. I haven't tried it personally yet, but I kind of like how they did for incursion weighing, where you can farm one specific incursion for something you're looking for. Say what you need is a backpack for your build, which always seems to be the one thing I have the hardest time getting. Even in 1.4, I have more chest pieces, masks, all the other pieces for every other set, but I don't have very many backpacks. So I could farm Dragon's Nest for backpacks, which is entirely what it will drop, is either a backpack or knee pads in this new weighting, which works out very well. It works wonderful, I think. We're going to have to try it. I'm going to have to find people, get a group together, and actually go run one of them, or all 3, and see how it works, and see if they're scaling on what will actually drops. I also like that they've introduced sealed caches that you can buy from vendors, either with Phoenix credits, Dark Zone funds, or the regular funds you'd get for farming the PvE world, which is just another way to where you don't just have no choice but to stockpile all these funds. You actually have a reason to spend them, to where things, if you're not quite getting your piece, you can gamble and see if you can get it, which is another thing worth noting. That's They said they aren't really making much changes to crafting, other than you now have the assignment caches for completing assignments. I say they have deconstruct 10 things of blue quality or higher, and that will give you a cache where you can get an item, and then it gives you so much of each of the high-end crafting materials. So it's supposed to be another way to kind of build them up faster, just by doing that every day, than having to try to run around all over the place hoping you get them, or running the dark zone and trying to convert that way, and that's just kind of ends up being a pain, especially if someone doesn't like the dark zone, which I'm sure there are enough of those people out there, because there's the PvE element, and not everybody is big into PvE content. So on that note, could be a good thing, may not be. Depends on how people are going to want to play it. But I say that looks to be more playability and returnability to actually come back and want to play again. Gives people something to work towards. And at in-game, that's exactly, at least me personally, what I would want. I always like having the things that I can work for. Objectives, quests, dungeons, however you want to look at it, and have it rewarding, where I'm not going to just get things with rolls on it that have no use to anywhere. The only thing I would like to see within the PTS is be able to have a viable person that specs into kind of electronics more, but balanced setup. Because right now a balanced setup does not work, but or even a skill build in general, because you end up being too squishy to be able to solo anything, and easy to take out because you don't have the DPS that other people have in other builds, because you're running a electronics-based support build, which is pretty much what I like running, or at least having the option to, when the necessity arises. But so far it seems to be, if you aren't either high firearms, high stamina, then you're pretty much useless to a group. Or at least that's how it seems to feel so far in week 4. As I've tried to do a couple with the pieces I've gotten, putting together a decent skill build, and I can't even solo farm. It makes it too difficult, or it takes way too long. So maybe there'll be some changes made in how it works, maybe there won't, but that's at least my whole opinion. I'd like to see more build diversity, where you can spec into electronics without so much of the penalty, and without it hurting you to the point where you end up just, if it's an electronics piece and there's too many things to roll on it, you just throw it instead of trying to put it together and making it work to see if it does. I'd like to see more of that. Plug and play and fit things in. But right now that just isn't there. It's just throw it away, go out, try to get the next piece, and see what that one does. And in a looter, in a way, it works, but putting the fact that it's a looter aside, and actually looking at the concepts of putting together builds, it doesn't. Because there really isn't, even if they use different sets, which might end up creating some diversity, there still isn't a way to have the sets and focus on one thing like being a skill build, electronics build, without having to sacrifice something. You could probably put it together where you're a stamina electronics build, but then you would have to sacrifice firearms. There's no way right now, even though they added the stats for the other two that aren't the primary, it's not enough of a stat. It's not enough to help when you can get, if you can get gear mods that go up into the 200s, those stats should be the high number on the gear mod, at least in my opinion. Like, say gear mods can go to 220, then that stat should on the isn't the main stat should be 220 on each side of whatever isn't the main stat. At least that, but that's my view. That's how I think it should work, and I think that way you could create with those that extra points a skill build that can survive and have DPS potential. But that's going to probably be a discussion for another week. So I leave you with these thoughts of how with the patch notes and how week 4 might go. I'm going to have to get on and test it some more and make some more videos based on it just to see how it's going to work. I will certainly add, this is Hatchet Gaming. I'm going to link my Twitter and my Twitch below, which you can go ahead and like and follow. Go ahead, and if you like this video, drop it a like, which helps me out. I appreciate everybody that takes the time to view my videos as I grow and see what I can become on this journey. And on that, everybody have a nice day.